Lights.
Camera.
Watch.
Theater Camp. This was directed by Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman. Mm-hmm. And it was written by Molly Gordon, Nick Lieberman, Ben Platt, and Noah Galvin. So they're all except for Nick Lieberman, they're all in this movie. So it's very much like a self-made kind of situation. First impressions, first thoughts, what'd you think of this?
I love this movie. I thought it was... I enjoy movies like this a lot, where it's just like, give me a small concept and just go with it. Don't make this like some really giant, convoluted... It's a very like traditional, like, hey, there's a crisis, we need to band together and solve it and just do something like that. There's been movies like this all the time. There's like Camp Nowhere or like anything like Dodgeball. Like you have to save the camp by performing and everybody's got...
Something as simple as like just a movie just having like a premise that's like ridiculous should be enough.
Yes.
Like everything doesn't have to be superhero CGI, as much money as we can put into it. Like stuff like this is like successful. Like this is literally a recipe for a success.
Yeah.
Did you know that this was based on a short film?
I didn't know that. I think I read in the like at the end of the movie that was like based on a short story or something like that written by someone. So
same people. So the same people who directed, wrote it, and like starred in it, Ben Platt and all them. They had done like a short film. I think it was like 2019, 2020, like not too long ago. And then someone had saw it and like gave them money to make it into a full thing, because on the exact premise of like, this is good enough to be a full feature film. Like this is a good enough premise to like make a comedy.
Yeah, and you're not going to be paying those little kids much.
Oh no, like you can tell that this was made like so cheaply. What'd you think of the fact that it like was shot to be like a handheld kind of do-it-yourself documentary kind of frame?
I love that stuff. They have some of these stuff on Netflix too, and the guy that was in this movie that plays the son was in one of those things. It's the one that like he poops on something and like it becomes this giant thing. It's like a mockumentary.
He spray dicks on cars.
Yeah, it was a mockumentary, exactly, and he was in it, and I love him. He has that goofy voice. Like he has this like he seems like I'm sure he's a YouTuber too. Like, and they probably used footage of him when he was a kid as well.
I think he was a stand-up comedian first, and then now he's like into acting. But he's got like everything he says like you want to laugh at.
Yeah, it's great. Like his one-liners is like, "Who stole my edibles?" or stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
my
the kids
CBD gummies.
Yeah,
so funny. So I think the fact that it was shot like that really, really helps it. Especially like I really love the way it opens. So it follows. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on this woman's name because I love her. But it's his mom, Joan.
Yes.
Is her name in the film.
Joan.
And it's like really, really motivational about like her and these kids and like empowering students through theater and expressing yourself. And then she has a stroke, and it's the first Bye Bye Birdie medical incident ever recorded. And then it just says like, first day in, the subject of our documentary is passed out from a stroke. We made the decision to continue filming. And when I saw this movie, I didn't see the trailer before I saw it. Just like I had a group of friends who were like, hey, you want to go see Theater Camp? And I was like, sure. So when it opened with like her being super positive, I was like, oh, like what am I walking into?
Oh.
And the second it like hard cut to that, I was like, this is about to be a blast. And it was.
I saw the trailer for it in another movie. And it was the scene where they showed the imaginary cocaine into the nose.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta see what this movie's about. And if you have the AMC pass, just take any opportunity you can to watch whatever movie that's just available to you. But I just thought like all the characters were just adorable. You can see you've had people like that in your life. Maybe not in Theater Camp, but you've had these types of instructors, teachers, like go-getters, and like you've experienced Theater Camp in one form or another.
Oh, 100%. And like Theater Camp in general, I feel like no disrespect to people involved in theater and all this, but they know that they're the butt of the joke. Like the theater kid, the theater person is like a very specific
like
brand
Glee.
type of, yes. And like they know that they fall into that category, and a lot of times they embrace it. And this movie is literally like so self-aware on it that they're riffing on it. But I really, 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 really loved that the kids were not the butt of the joke. It was the adults.
Yeah, because those are the people that thought they were going to go out and make it and become like these big actors and stars like that, but they end up coaching.
Yeah, and literally it could not have been like... And they use the kids like to help it support that, but they know that they are the butt of the joke and they are the ridiculousness. Like at one point, like they're doing the auditions, and Ben Platt's character says something about like, oh, this girl's gonna sing a song, and he just leans in, it's like, oh, I can picture her as a prostitute, and then it just like cuts to like just like a regular ass kid on the screen, and I was like, that is so funny, because like a lot of the times it just cuts to them for like a reaction shot, but it's just them being like, what? Which is like so good.
No, I enjoy it because it's like that's what real life is. If you're around like little kids and like everyone just sitting there in the background just talking shit, it's like, you know, Jimmy's gonna get arrested when he turns like 17.
Oh, 100%. I think some of the funniest jokes were the black screen cuts.
Which one was that? What does that mean?
Well, like every once in a while, like the screen would just cut to black and there would be text on it.
Oh shit, yeah.
And like that, just there was so many punchlines from that. It would just be like, oh, whatever, camp, and then they would just like narrate through. I wish I had some of them on cam, because literally every single time it cut to black, it was so fucking funny.
Yeah, and I was happy that they did stuff like that, because it's sort of like, we don't know what the fuck's going on. Let's just keep going. And I like that, because I think in many things just in life, like in this movie, it's a journey. Like, you know, the school is going to like shut down. Like, let's just fucking give it our all, you know?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was endearing, because honestly, at any given moment, like any of those, and it's also sad too, because like one of the teachers was like trying to go for another job, and the other teacher's like, oh, you're not going to stick around with me. It's like, you're trying to move on.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's getting a job like in like, I don't know, Broadway. She's gonna be performing on a
cruise.
Yeah, and you know, like this poor lady.
She's
and
a featured soloist.
I mean, like, think about those people. Like, everybody has these giant dreams of becoming someone, and like, how often do you end up like not, you know, doing it? But as long as you're like happy, and I think the majority of the cast, aside from that other main guy, what was his name? The guy that was in love with or the girl that was in love with that guy, and he was the gay instructor.
Ben Platt's character.
He was just like not gonna make it. This is his life.
Yeah.
But at least the other girl is shooting for her dreams.
Speaking of that girl, I want to speak on Molly Gordon for a little bit, because she wrote and she directed this film. This is the first film she ever directed. Great job. I didn't think I'd ever seen her in anything before, and I was like, oh, who is this? Because she's so funny in this.
Okay, because I don't know if I've seen her in anything.
I rewatched Shiva Baby the other day because I was scrolling through Max, and it's the same star, Rachel Sennett, and director that's doing Bottoms. They're working together for Bottoms. Oh, wow. So I wanted to rewatch it, and I had seen it before, but Molly Gordon plays her ex-girlfriend in that film. Essentially, it's like she goes to a Shiva, and her ex-girlfriend and her sugar daddy are both there, and she has to like confront both of them like with her family, and like the whole thing take place in that one room. And I was like, oh my god, it's Molly Gordon from theater camp. I didn't think I had ever seen her in anything, so I guess maybe she's up and coming, but like I think she's really, really great. Like, she really shines on the screen, and like if this is her first ever directed movie, I think she did an incredible job.
I mean, good for her. Like, honestly, it's the Summer of the Women. They're just making it.
Yeah, they're crushing. I mean, Nick Lieberman also did it, but I'm not familiar with him in any aspect. And this is also his first film that he's ever directed.
And I just like that this is, I think, Fox Searching Light and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, this is their A24, and I like these movies. These are the movies that need to come out that cost like $1 million and like make $20 million.
I think it made great box office. I actually saw it twice, and both times I saw it, I was really, really pleased that there were a lot of people in there, because like I saw it the first time like right when Barbie and Oppenheimer and everything was happening, and so when I went to go get tickets for theater camp and saw that the room was already like kind of full when I expected it to be empty, I was really, really pleasantly surprised that people were showing out to this movie, because that made my heart warm that people are still going to go see a low budget comedy, because they keep these things alive. And both times, like, I laughed out loud, and everybody in my theater laughed out loud. I agree.
There was more. You know, I think there's moments that I didn't get the jokes because I feel like I feel like I'm a baby boomer. Not like to say baby boomer. You know, there's boomers, but I feel like I'm a junior boomer. And like I felt like there was just jokes.
You're a millennial. Come on.
Millennials. It just flew past me. You know what I mean?
Did you have a favorite joke though? Anything in this that you thought was really funny?
It was just that moment where the boy that has the gay fathers and stuff like that. He's like, I'm a cis male or something.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
We always knew. We always knew. I'm like,
we're so proud of you, honey.
I'm like, it's just a moment like that was just hilarious. Or just like the CBD gummies, or just like any of the kids just interacting with each other. They're just all adorable. They're just cute and sweet.
I really, really liked the tear stick bit, where she's like rubbing chapstick on her eye.
Oh, it's like you're cheating. You can't do this. You think it's drugs?
Doping for actors. Apologize right now.
I mean, it was just so interesting to see like that world. because I can only imagine the jokes that people know, that if you're a true theater person, you probably really know some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And the dramas that go in the background. But you know what part fucking made me die?
What?
Like when they're saying like what the plays were, like every random play
Oh my
they
fucking
threw out.
God.
Those are the plays that just like killed me. I can't even remember any of the names, but like so and so is gonna be in this play and blah blah blah, and so and so is gonna be in that play. I mean, just the names in it just made me die. And like the girl, like literally was coming up with the songs like off the top of her head.
Oh my God. So all throughout this whole movie, they make references, like random references to things that just seem like completely out of nowhere, and then they end up being in the play. Like at one point he's sitting by the lake and he says on like a talk note recorded or whatever to himself, like, paper mache nose. And then in the scene where you mentioned with the cocaine, there's the big paper mache nose going through there, and I was like, oh my God, so many things that were like sprinkled out, all played out in the final play. And their fucking play was so surprisingly good. Like, I did not expect, like, the final bit of this to actually be the play and for it to actually be, like, a coherent performance. Because the opening joke where it's, like, every year, Amos and Rebecca Diane write a new play for the kids to star in, and then it cuts to, this year they have not started writing. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
I just love the fact that like everything was like a train wreck in this movie, and they're just like going with it. Like everything's going wrong, but fucking dog, let's just keep going.
They are all insane, but they're all pointing out that like the son is the insane one. Like he's the one who doesn't know what they're doing, but they're all a mess. Every single one of them.
I do love the fact that there's randomly that like cold throat like. What's it called? That finance lady that was trying to broker the deal.
Yeah.
I think like fell in love with that stupid guy, like the son of the owner. Did she fall in love for him, or was it?
No, she was trying to get with him for sure. Like I don't know if it was completely just to like trick him into signing the deal, or if it was like.
I think that's how it started.
Well, she said that she followed him on Instagram and was like interested in his hype. You know, like.
You know what also made me really laugh was, you know how that the son of the founder of the camp has like all these like followers. Mm-hmm. And they're like VIPs or like whatever they're called. Oh my God, like I don't know what the word was that he used, but it's like the VIPs, and they all came through and they all were doing their own YouTube
with
videos.
The selfie sticks.
I died.
I was really satisfied.
Smart.
I thought that was really funny, but I was really satisfied that they just didn't have like daddy's money and saved it at the end. Like I want to know what you thought about the ending, because I thought it was really good.
I forgot what happened at the end.
At the end, the Airbnb host
he was
holding,
Javier, whatever his name is, he just
like
hooked
Tim
it up.
or something. He connected with the play because he also used to have a cocaine addict and worked on Wall Street, and so he donates to save the camp because he has tons of money from his lawsuit or whatever.
Honestly, those were parts were just like funny, where it's like I think in the end they're like, oh, so and so goes on to do this and do that. You know what else was fucking hilarious? You know when they're doing like the video that showed like Joan or whoever was.
Oh my God!
It wasn't Joan. It was just some random lady in a hospital.
It's the girl in the same room but next to her. I just watched the whole story on your life and you slept through it.
No, they just did a great job overall in this movie, and I feel like these are the movies that need to be made more of because they're original. They're very engaging. There's a rewatchable factor in it. Like I tell people, it's like you should watch Theater Camp. Like I thought it was a really good movie. And I feel like
I've been recommending this movie all over the place. I'm like, if you're looking for like a low key good time laugh, like pop this on. I think this is gonna do incredible on streaming.
I hope so.
I think this is one of those few things that like just it being like accessible to everyone, like a lot of people are probably gonna check out.
So whenever we're having these conversations, I'm always on like Box Office, like Mojo and stuff like that. Like every week, it seems to be making more money.
No,
like,
yeah, it's doing like pretty decently, which I'm really happy about.
I don't know how much this movie costs, but like it's made $2 million, which seems like nothing, but I feel like this movie cost like $40,000.
Yeah.
Or like $50,000. I don't know what, but like every week it's just like getting more and more and more. And maybe it kind of benefits that is during the Barbenheimer week, where it's sort of like when people like want to go watch a movie and they can, they're like, oh, let's just give Theater Camp a shout out.
No, 100%. I think a lot of the seats were sold out for Barbie and Oppenheimer, so I think a lot of people ended up seeing Theater Camp.
Yeah, because I'm looking at like the numbers. There's like one weekend where there's like a 400% increase from like the week before. And I'm
God, that's awesome. I think it's word of mouth too. I think it's doing it well. Yeah. I think people are telling other people to check it out.
We're pushing people to watch this movie. Go watch Theater Camp, ladies and gentlemen.
I do want to. I want to talk about Greg real quick because Greg was my favorite part of this movie.
He was the star.
That was incredible because they had like sprinkled in the moments where like he's like the most important person on. Also, I don't know her name. I feel so bad about it, but she's in The Bear, and she plays the actress who lied on her resume. And
what's her name?
I have no idea what her name is. If you want to look that up real quick, but she lied on her resume, and so she says that she can joust and she can stage combat and all that.
Black
was
girl.
Really, yeah.
She was freaking hilarious.
She's so funny in this. She's funny in everything. She's also gonna be in Bottoms.
Is she?
Yeah, it's her and Rachel Sennett.
No, she was awesome. It's like she keeps saying like, we are in this workshop to do, and then like,
and the kids just keep giving her like really sentimental like answers, and she's like, can someone have like a technical definition, like something that's not poetry?
Her name is Ayo Edebiri.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm destroying her
Ayo Edebiri, I think. Yeah.
She's also in the what's it called, The Bear.
Yeah, she's in The Bear.
Wow.
She's like a main character in The Bear.
Oh, really?
But I wanted to shout her out really quick because I think she's really funny.
Hey,
but
you did great.
But going back to Greg, like, throughout the thing, it's like everybody needs Greg at all times. Like, he's the technical director, or like he's in charge of all like the parts that make the show actually happen, and so he's running around like a crazy person through the whole thing. And like there's one point when like he falls and just like embraces it and like tumbles down a whole hill, and I was like, that's great. And then like he's teaching like a group of kids to do what he does, and they're following a spotlight, and he's like, oh, can you make it like more or like more difficult? This is really easy. And then just like breaks out into dance. So like had like a hidden talent, but like was behind the camera kind of thing.
It's from years. Like he was just perfecting it behind the scenes, just watching it, embracing it. His name was Glenn, and the actor's name is Noah Galvin.
Yeah. Oh, was it Glenn, not Greg? My bad. It's Glenn.
Don't worry.
But literally, when he steps, because they don't know, they don't tell you what's gonna happen. Like the main girl who's starring in Joan Still drops out. She gets a real role in acting, and then like Ben Platt's character just gives up. They're like, this is a train wreck. Molly Rebecca Diane never wrote the finale. She just like started singing things that were near her, and then cut to like the middle of the play. Glenn steps in and like takes the lead in a full-on dress and fucking crushes it. And then there's like the killer line where he leans into Rebecca Diane and says like he's so good it makes me upset.
Amos was that guy's name. Amos, who was
Ben Platt's character's Amos. Yeah,
it's just a very interesting name. I've never heard of Amos.
Yeah, that wasn't interesting. I think the two name, like they don't ever call her Rebecca, they always call her Rebecca Diane. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was just dude, no.
And she does all the one of my favorite things was when she tells the kid like, this is your she's doing energy readings, and she says, you are the oldest soul in this room, and this is your last life.
Like,
and then it just cuts to the girl like completely wiped. Like,
how dark is that to tell to a little kid? That was pretty thick. But the son's name Troy, I think.
Troy, that was the kid. Yeah.
No, the Troy, like when he went up and he tried to give a speech to get like, hey everybody, good morning, and like no one gives any fucks who you are.
And then Amos comes on and sings a little ditty, and they all chime in. He's like, I am out of my place here. This is not my element.
I just love that Amos, like his character, like Troy was like constantly like trying to figure out, so what are these bills for? And like, what do we?
I really got to start checking the mail.
No, man. No, I think everybody in the whole cast was fantastic. The not the set designer, the costume designer, guy.
Yeah.
Girl.
He was fabulous.
He's fabulous. No, he was just like he was like RuPaul, like pretty much. Like if RuPaul never made it, like this is where RuPaul would have been. He
had so much natural charisma. Like the scenes, they do like a bedtime performer every night, and his scene dancing with the kids in the thing is so funny. And then at one point, like, Amos says, like, oh, don't leave me at the party. Like, I don't want to hear another story about him naked in the 80s. And then it cuts to him directly talking about a story of, like, where he's batshit crazy and naked in the 80s. I was like, this is so good.
No, those are those, like, one-liners that, like, it reminds me of, like, this is what The Office is kind of like.
Yeah, but, like, it was so well done. I was just blown away. Because, again, I did not see a trailer. I had no expectations walking into this movie, and I laughed out loud, which is, like, pretty rare these days in a movie. So I was really, really pleased by this. Yeah. Like, I really enjoyed this.
There was a lot of jokes that went over my head. I'm like, you know, millennial me did not catch. But, like, everybody else did. No, but the audience was pretty packed. And, like, I want to watch it. I was like, wow, it's pretty full.
Yeah, I'm just pleasantly surprised by this whole thing. Like, this movie brought a smile to my face.
I know, man. Thumbs up for me.
Big thumbs up for me. This was awesome.